Imagine waking up one day and discovering that somewhere in the world, a man has secretly printed $250 million. Not sloppy fake money, not the kind that feels wrong when you touch it, but counterfeit bills so perfect that banks, stores, and even trained cash handlers couldn't tell the difference. It wasn't luck. It was 18 months of meticulous research into paper composition and security features. He convinced a German paper mill to produce a custom cotton-linen blend, posing as a high-stakes investor. He even had a specialized watermark machine built in Poland to etch Andrew Jackson's face perfectly into every bill. Hidden on a remote farm in Quebec, he worked 16-hour shifts, churning out millions under the cover of night. The operation was flawless, until he tried to sell. An undercover operation finally closed in on him in 2012. Now imagine the authorities finally catching the man responsible. He's facing decades in prison, maybe even 60 years. The evidence was overwhelming. Guns, drugs, and nearly $1 million in fake currency found at the raid. But Bourassa had one final card to play, a bargaining chip worth $200 million. He traded the location of the remaining mountain of cash for his freedom, a deal the authorities couldn't refuse. Instead of spending the rest of his life behind bars, he walks away after serving just 6 weeks in jail. This is the unbelievable true story of Frank Bourassa, the man who nearly outsmarted the world's most powerful currency. And the way he pulled it off is almost impossible to believe. Most counterfeiters make simple mistakes. The paper feels cheap, the ink looks wrong, or the security features are missing. But Frank Bourassa wasn't like most counterfeiters. He treated the entire operation like a scientific experiment. Before printing a single bill, he spent 2 years studying one thing: the United States $20 bill. Every detail fascinated him. The texture of the paper, the placement of the ink, the hidden security features designed to stop criminals exactly like him. Instead of rushing into the crime, Bourassa studied everything carefully. He analyzed the cotton and linen blend used in real US currency. He examined microscopic printing patterns. He researched how the ink reacted under light. Then he did something that shocked investigators later. He managed to convince a paper mill to produce the exact same paper used for real money. Normally, that material is tightly controlled and extremely difficult to obtain. But somehow Bourassa got his hands on it, and once he had the paper, he was ready to start printing. Hidden away in a basement, Bourassa built a professional-level counterfeiting operation. Special printers, custom plates, precision inks, everything designed to replicate real currency as perfectly as possible. Soon, stacks of fresh $20 bills began rolling out of the machines. At first it was thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. By the time authorities discovered the operation, Bourassa had printed an astonishing $250 million in counterfeit money. And here's the truly terrifying part. Many experts later said his bills were so accurate that even experienced professionals struggled to detect them. Some investigators described them as among the best counterfeit notes ever created. But operations that big eventually attract attention, and Bourassa's operation was no exception. The agency responsible for protecting US currency, the United States Secret Service, began noticing something unusual. Large amounts of extremely high-quality counterfeit $20 bills were appearing in circulation. These weren't ordinary fakes, they were what investigators call super notes. Bills so convincing that standard detection methods struggled to catch them. So the Secret Service launched an international investigation. Piece by piece, clue by clue, the trail eventually led them to one man. His name was Frank Bourassa, the mastermind behind it all. When authorities finally moved in, the situation looked very bad for him. If convicted, Bourassa could face decades in prison, possibly up to 60 years. For most criminals, that would mean the end of the story. But Bourassa had been preparing for this moment, because he still had something incredibly valuable. The one thing he truly had over them was leverage. Imagine the pressure, facing a lifetime behind bars while holding the keys to a multi-million-dollar operation. Bourassa didn't just print money, he manufactured the paper, the ink, and the security features. The scale of his operation was staggering, reaching corners of the world the Secret Service couldn't touch. He offered them a deal they couldn't refuse: his freedom in exchange for his equipment and the remaining stash. In the end, the man who printed $250 million walked away with a fine and no jail time. A true story that proves sometimes the best defense isn't a lawyer, it's having something they want. Next time you hold a 20, look a little closer. You might be holding a piece of history. Remember the $250 million he printed? Well, most of it had never been spent. Nearly $200 million in counterfeit money was still hidden somewhere. Authorities didn't know where it was. And if that money entered circulation, it could cause serious problems for the financial system. Tracking it down would be nearly impossible. So Bourassa made an offer. He told investigators he would reveal the location of the hidden counterfeit stash. Every last dollar, all of it, but only if they made a deal. For prosecutors, this was a difficult decision. If they refused, Bourassa could stay silent. And hundreds of millions of dollars in near-perfect fake money could slowly spread through the economy. The mastermind behind one of the largest counterfeiting operations in history was at the center of it all. But if they accepted the deal, he would receive a shockingly light sentence. In the end, they accepted. Bourassa revealed the location of the hidden stash. Authorities recovered the counterfeit fortune and destroyed it. And what happened to the man responsible for it all? He served just 6 weeks in jail. 6 weeks for printing $250 million. His only other punishment was a fine of $350, which is roughly the cost of a decent television. Even today, the story of Frank Bourassa remains one of the most unbelievable cases in criminal history. Not just because of the money, but because one man, working quietly from a basement, managed to create counterfeit bills so convincing that they nearly fooled the entire system designed to stop him. And it raises a chilling question. If one person could get this close to beating the system, how many others might be trying right now?